Hey guys, Saf coming at you with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today I want to do a breakdown of the Defiant set. Now this is a new set that's coming to the game as part of Forge Pass Season 5, and it is a bit of a sort of a Stalwart 2.0. That's kind of how they've coded it, it's kind of how it reads, but it's important to know some important distinctions about how this set works before you go and build some champions with this set. There are some questions outstanding in terms of how does Defiant work with Stalwart? Does it stack? Is it additive? Is it multiplicative? We're going to answer those videos today, and we're going to do a little breakdown of the Forge Pass as well. I actually think the Forge Pass is worth picking up, even if you are a relatively low spender. You get an awful lot of materials here. You get an ability to create around about 205 to 210 for 5 to 6 star legendary pieces in the Forge, which when you're in the early game trying to get gear, just basic gear, you know, we're not so worried about stats, we're worried about good quality, good ability to get some legendary and epic gear. The Forge Pass is a really good access for that. This Defiant set also is a very good set. We're going to go into details in how it works, but just in terms of should you pick up the Forge Pass, I actually think it's really worth the actual pickup. I pick it up all the time if it is a bolster or this new set, this Defiant set. I don't know if I would pick it up if it was the Instinct set, personally. You get a nice amount of glyphs, some chaos ore, you get a lot of materials. The XP boost is nice to have, although it's a bit backloaded, so you kind of need to like get onto your weekly passes to try and get the value out of that. And you also get a lot of magic steel, which if you're not doing a lot of arena, is hard to come by. So as an overall value at £17, I think it is, or about $20, it's really worth it in my opinion. I don't think it's a terrible offering at all. So with that being said, let's have a look at Defiant. It is a brand new set. It is a 2-piece set. It gives you 10% defense, and then it reduces the damage you take from AoE attacks by 15% damage. Now, what it doesn't explain here is how that 15% stacks with Stalwart and how it stacks together with itself. That's what the purpose of this video is going to do, is going to give you the answer to that question. But as a set itself, a 2-piece set is much better than a 4-piece set because of the flexibility that it offers. You can run this alongside a regen set. You could run it alongside a bolster set, a guardian set. Any of the big 4-piece sets that we use, you could run it alongside a lethal set if you wanted to have like a bit of a hybrid build. You could run it alongside a bloodthirst, a lifesteal, an untouchable, lots of different options here. And this minus 15% damage is really powerful. It's like permanently having a veil on your champion. Veil obviously reduces damage you take by 15%. So how does it work with itself? Well, the Defiant set here is going to stack additively with itself, but it will not stack additively with other forms of AoE damage reduction sets such as Stalwart. That will then stack multiplicative. So we're going to do some play testing here, and I'm going to show you some spreadsheet examples to describe how this is going to work. So our guinea pig for today is Yakal the Scourge, probably the best background that we have in Raid. You know, it's wintry, it's Christmassy, it's snowstorm. You can pick him up for free in the clan shop. I have mine ready to go, ready to build. I just haven't figured out how to use him. He is completely gearless. We have no Defiant sets. We have no Stalwart. We are just running some basic numbers here of around about 999 defense. And we're going to put him into a Doom Tower stage where we know what we're facing. We're going to be taking him into Doom Tower stage 3 normal. And we want to see how much the Queen Eva hits. So let's just do a quick example here of how this is going to work. So we are going to be taking AoE hits from Queen Eva. Now we know how much attack and the multipliers of the Queen Eva because we can look on the Stages tool. So we can come into the Stages tool, pick Doom Tower Rotation 2, that is what we're on right now, pick Floor 3 normal, and we can see the Queen Evas, they're going to go first. They have 2,687 attack, and we know the multiplier for Queen Eva's A3 is 3.4 times attack because we can click on this little champion profile button here, and it will take us to the champion profile on the website, and we can see the multiplier is 3.4. So what we can do then is we can take these numbers. We know the damage from Queen Eva is going to be 2,687 attack times 3.4 multiplier. So her raw, non-crit, non-bonus damage is going to be 9135. Now she does have an innate ability to crit a little bit more, so we'll have to kind of work around that. But we can then take Yakal's defense, which works out around about 998.64. rounding comes into effect. That's why you see it as 999 in the game. And that will give us a damage reduction on him of 41%. So when that 9,135 attacks the Carl, it's going to reduce it by 41% of his own defense. And then it gets put onto a damage range. It can roll anywhere up to +10 or -10 of that original 0 value. So if it was a true damage, kind of just like a minimum, it would be 5361. But that can be as low as 4825, or it can go as high as 5897. So what we want to do is when we throw him in for the test, we are looking to see, is his damage going to fit on this chart? And then we've kind of already pre-calculated our different options for the Defiant set based on the way that it appears to be coded as to how it works. The code suggests it's going to be additive with itself, so we can go 15, 30, or 45%, but it should be multiplicative with Stalwart, not additive. So it means it will multiply the damage by 30%, then 15%. So we can see actually 3 Defiant versus Stalwart and Defiant should mathematically be much better. So we're going to have a look at these numbers. We're going to basically hit the 0%, try and match the number. Then we're going to hit the one with 1 Defiant set, then 2 Defiant set, then 3 Defiant, and then we're going to put a Stalwart and Defiant, and we're going to see what those numbers come out like. So we've got the Akal set up. I've got the numbers on the screen as well, so we can see how this works together. And we're going to hit the target here, and we're going to slow it down to 1 times speed, and we're going to look for 4932. So we can see that is a -8%. So that is great. That means we can confirm that this chart is accurate. We've got the right attack numbers, we've got the right defense numbers, and they're all making sense. Then we got 5,200. That comes out at around about 3%. You'll always have a little bit of rounding here or there, but that means we had a hit -8% and a -3% hit. So our 0% is working correctly. So now we want to put 1 Defiant set on, and we will see the difference. We will need to adjust his defense because he will gain 10% from the set, and we might have some substats. So we'll need to adjust that number here. But now we're just going to be looking to see what the difference is when we put 15% 1 Defiant set on. So I've got some really bad gear at the moment. I've got some just basic 2 and 3 star because we haven't got as high in the Forge Pass to be able to create a lot of the 5 to 6 star. And obviously I kind of want to save that anyway. But we've got 1 piece here. We've got no extra defense rolled. So we're going to be at 1,065 because we're gaining 10%. There's no defense on the boots and there is no defense on the weapon. So we're just going to increase his defense by 10% and we'll have a look at what this chart looks like now. So now I have him at 1065. It kind of rounds to 1064 in my math, so there must be some weird rounding going on, but we're going to go with that. We've mapped it out on the table here, so we can see now that the damage reduction should be lower. Let's take a look in the same stage again. Let's have a look how much we're going to now take instead. We've got 1 Defiant. We should be taking 15% less damage. Let's have a look. Slows down, and we get hit for 4588, and that is the 4% range. So +4, and then we get hit by a 4191. And that is the -5%. So far, 1 set makes sense. It's -15%. Let's throw on 2 pieces of Defiant. Let's see if it is additive or multiplicative. So we've boosted it up now to 1130 defense, another 10%. Again, I've avoided defense percentage stats completely, so we're only getting the set bonus here. Now we're on 2 sets here. We should be seeing the damage change now for a -30%. Let's have a look, see if we are seeing this as additive. This is the first big test. So we throw the damage out there. We get 3,800, and that is 8% on our additive scale. So that confirms that it's additive. Do we get it again? We do. 3,448. That is on the -2%. So far, 100% correct. Defiant is additive with each other, which means you are going to get 15 or 30 or 45. Now let's throw on a 45% just to confirm that it's definitely fully additive, and then we'll re-gear him to basically be Stalwart plus Defiant. So he's now got 1, 2, 3, 1 defense because obviously the shield is going to give him some flat defense. We haven't rolled any of this gear. So we're going to run this one more time now just to test it on the 45%. We've put 3 Defiant on him. We had to run it a few times just to avoid the freeze because this passive obviously reduces damage further. We want to see now just to confirm that this is on the 45% range as well. And so we can get the energy drain, 2476. That is at the -6% range. And then we're going to get hit one more time for 2845. And that is on the 8% range. So again, Defiant is additive with itself. Let us test now how it works with Stalwart. So naturally my Stalwart gear is better than my Defiant gear, so we're going to have to adjust his stats a little bit here to counteract the fact that we have got better gear on him. So we're now at 1381 defense, and we're going to be looking at this final column here. Ignore the other three columns. We have got 30% from Stalwart and 15% from Defiant. Let's take it into the same stage we were fighting, and let's see, can we match it to prove that the theory here is that it is multiplicative with other sets. Additive with itself, but with other sets like Stalwart, it is multiplicative. Okay, we have got a round here now where there is no freeze. Let's take a look. How much damage are we going to take? We took a crit. 2842. That is on our range. That is 7%. Let's just run it one more time so we can confirm with another number. Okay, so we have another round here. Let's test it one more time. Number 2868. That is on our 8% range again, and another hit of 2709, that is on our 2%. So that confirms the theory here. 3-piece Defiant is additive with itself, but Defiant is not additive with Stalwart, it is multiplicative. And now I'm going to explain why that is an important discovery to make. So the important thing here to understand is the difference between additive and multiplicative and how it can have an impact on the actual outcome you're trying to achieve. Obviously with Defiant and Stalwart sets, the goal you're trying to achieve is to reduce the amount of AoE damage you're receiving. Therefore, you want to try and maximize that value. What I've done in this table here is I've assumed a raw hit of 50,439. And let's just assume you're getting hit by a Baron in Savage Lethal. He would ignore 80% defense. We're going to map different combinations of sets and damage numbers here to have a look at the impact of the final damage we would receive. Now, this is not like a perfect foolproof way to do this. What it is a very good way to do is compare against defense that you have on your champion against a damage number and the different set combinations to see the difference in terms of the percentage gain for each combination that you have set up. I've also built in here some different champion passives to understand the difference of how things can work with the champion passive. Mainly we're looking at Duchess passive. We're going to look at Duchess plus Norog, and then we're going to look at Duchess with an Acrisia. Obviously her passive will reduce any AoE damage she receives by 50% as well. Now remember, any artifact set here is multiplicative with any skill. It is not additive. You cannot take Duchess 25%, add it with Norog 25%, add it with Acrisia 25%, then add it with the Defiant set. That's not how it works. It multiplies with itself. So we would take the total Defiance that you've got, which could be at 3, it could be 45%, multiplied by 25%. Then we'd multiply it by another 25% for Norog. Then it'd be multiplied by Acrisia's 50%. That is what we mean by multiplicative. With additive, we basically mean you've got 3 Defiant sets, 1 Defiant set is 15%, well, you've got 45% reduction because they add together. But that set alone will multiply with everything else. So if we were to look at a 2000 defense on our champion, and say like we had decreased defense out, and we also had this 80% ignore defense, our actual final damage here from this 50,000 raw hit would be around 41,000. We're reducing 9%. That is just a bog standard 2000 defense champion. Now, if we add 1 Defiant, we will reduce that down to 34,994, 28,000 for 2, and 22,000 for 3. Now, here is the important distinction and why it was important to know whether or not Stalwart and Defiant were additive with each other. Because they are not, you do not get as much AoE damage reduction from Stalwart and Defiant as you get with 3 Defiants. If you had 3 Defiants on, so 2 times 3, so that's 6 pieces of Defiant, you would get 22,000 damage being received, 22,643. However, if you were in a Stalwart with 1 Defiant, then you're actually getting 24,000 received. Now, it's not a significant difference, but if these numbers grow, then it does add up. Now, the bigger the gap, obviously the more damage you take, the more this is going to increase. We're going to look at the percentage distribution at the end of this. Now, if we were to throw this in with other passives here, you can see a 3 Defiant with a Duchess passive is about 16,000. Now that we've added an extra 25% AoE damage reduction. If we throw it in with Norog's passive, it's 12,737. If it was Acrisia with Duchess instead, so if your Acrisia was in 3 Defiant, your Acrisia would take 8,000 damage instead of the 50,000 damage. Now, if we were to compare that with 1 Stalwart and 1 Defiant, well, you can see, again, the percentages is slightly higher. Instead of 16,982, we're going to be taking 18,372. If we were just running one Stalwart, it would be even higher. So you get the idea with these. I'm going to save this spreadsheet, put it in the description, and share it with everyone. I am going to be doing more work, hopefully this week, on Guardian sets. I've been trying to drill down and understand exactly how Guardian works with AoE, which is a bit of a minefield I've been testing it for 2 hours. That's why this video is coming out late today. But let's just take it across a little bit and let's have a look at some different defense numbers here. So if we're just assuming, again, the same stats, and we're going to look at a 5,000 defense on our champion. So we're going to go to a 20% damage reduction. Now, this is why defense, if you can't ensure that the enemy doesn't have ignore defense, or that the enemy doesn't have the ability to put a decreased defense debuff on you, is actually quite low value. You can see for the additional 3,000 defense, we're only gaining about 11% damage reduction. But let's just take a look at the comparison here. We can see we would be taking 36,081 if we were not in any sets. When we get to a triple Defiant set, we're down to 19,000. So you can see here the impact that Defiant is having over just raw defense. The main thing we want to really look at here is these final numbers at the end. What we're looking at is the total damage reduction percentage. So we want to look at exactly kind of like the combination of all the different passives and the different combinations of the sets that we've got, to take a look at how much overall damage reduction we're getting. Now, it's not surprising that the first 4 rows here are quite straightforward. The more sets you add, it's additive with each other, so everything will be a 15, 30, or 45. You're going to get 41% damage reduction with Stalwart and Defiant. So that basically means that triple Defiant is around about 4% more efficient for you than Stalwart and Defiant, which could be the difference between you living and dying. If we talk about a situation here where you put your champion at 3,000 defense, and you're fighting an enemy that can't put decreased defense out and doesn't ignore your defense, then the difference here is around about 600 damage on that 50,000 raw. Now, obviously, that doesn't include crit damage or anything else. But you can see actually what's important is the impact that Defiant is having on its own. We're going to be taking 12,000 damage if we didn't have Defiant. Now we're going to be taking 6,500 damage. So if you're fighting in the arena, you're fighting clan boss, keep in mind that pretty much all bosses in this game are AoE damage dealers. This set is a massive, massive damage reduction. So if we wanted to see what triple Defiant with a Duchess passive actually translates to in total raw damage reduction, we can see it's about 59%. This is why Duchess passive is really, really strong. If we were to add the Norog passive, we would get an extra 10%. So even though Norog passive is another 25% damage reduction, it only actually translates to an extra 10% of effective damage reduction because it's multiplicative. We're not just doing 25% off, we're doing whatever's left multiplied by 25. If we had triple Defiant plus Duchess and a Crizia, so if that was a Crizia with a Duchess in triple Defiant, a Crizia would take 79% less damage from any AoE attack that she receives. It makes her an absolute tank. She'll never take any damage in any boss encounter. Now, if we compare this with sort of a 1 Stalwart, 1 Defiant, we can see again, we're seeing a similar trend. It's about 4% weaker. If we compare kind of like what damage numbers we would get if we had Duchess passive alone without the Defiant, how much is Defiant actually adding on top of Duchess? We'll say like we were trying to protect our damage dealer. Our damage dealer doesn't really have any defense. It's at 2,000. And just assume that we don't get those debuffs and there's no ignore defense. Well, with triple Defiant, we're going to take 6,951 damage. Without triple Defiant, we're going to take 12,637 damage. So yes, it reads like 45%. It would probably sound obvious, and I'm probably over elaborating with lots of numbers here. But when you see the numbers on a bit of paper, you can see why Defiant, in my opinion, is going to be quite a big game changer. Because if you're fighting AoE damage, you're going to want to put this extra 15% on one person. Even if you just stick with 1 Defiant, it's still pretty strong. We're talking, 14,000 incoming damage you would get with just 1 Defiant alone. That's a 15% reduction of damage. That could keep your team alive. So that is kind of like the breakdown. I'm going to put this Excel into a Google Sheet and share it so people can use it and do what they want with it. There will be a further video coming along in terms of how Defiant is going to work with AoE Guardian sets in terms of almost like how can you min-max AoE damage reduction to the nth degree and how it all works in detail. But I will be honest with you, Guardian with AoE is very, very confusing, so that video might be a bit of a long one. So there you go, guys. That is a breakdown on the new Defiant set. I hope that was interesting, and I hope it will guide you into your decision making around how you build champions with Defiant. Let me know in the comments below if you have bought the Forge Pass. Are you really excited about the set? What plans you have with Defiant? And good luck if you are pulling for the 1+1. I myself am completely avoiding it. I know I've just pulled a Glacier. I'm nowhere near the Mercy. It's not worth it. But if you are pulling, good luck. Keep an eye out for that Guardian video that will be coming out in the next couple of days, depending on how much extra effort I need to do to make sure I'm accurate. But until then, guys, I will catch you in the next video.